An aspirant is a person who buys forms and aspiring to be a candidate of a party.
Yes.
It's after the buying of forms that the party will sit down and elect one of the aspirants to be the flag bearer of the party in that particular election. So the flag bearer of a party now is called aspirant. Sorry, it's called candidate.
Okay.
The flag bearer is now called candidate. So it is within that ambit that I guess Festus Okoye is also making that submission that we might be backing the wrong horse when we begin to call for prosecution of people who contested in one election,
Yeah.
in one nomination cycle, and are now trying to jostle their way back to another nomination round.
So I'm wondering what is the real crime then, because I don't seem to see the picture of a candidate now contesting to constituencies.
Okay.
Because the man had further said that there's a process where after you have been nominated, the candidates will now fill nomination form in compliance with Section 30 of Electoral Act, which provides that a candidate for an election shall be nominated in writing. So I'm seeing a candidate nominated, and I'm seeing it's not clear.
I agree.
I think he's just trying to go back on to try to defend these people, so that it doesn't look as if what this law is saying is about them.
No,
How do you talk about a candidate now coming to fill nomination form? What were you doing? Okay, were you aspiring to be nominated? Let's get this clear.
Well,
you buy the form and you're standing in election to be nominated, and when you have been picked, you now fill nomination form. So is it the candidate that fills the nomination form? Then the ones that are buying whatever forms you're buying is aspirant, just an aspirant to the candidacy of the party.
Yes, if you're calling, the numbers to call will be 090-222-31011. The alternative number will be 081-762. All right, I think we'll get that again. 762-485-65. We are discussing on the issues of Section 115 sub D and the offense of being nominated into constituencies. We've been trying to identify what really is a constituency, right?
Because it's
what's really, who is a candidate, who is a nominee, who is an aspirant, because those are the things that will define.
Because it's not making it look as if the offense is not clear. We have not been able to define the offense.
Apparently, the offense is not clear as it appears. The offense is not clear because what the law seeks to establish is open to conjectures. An offense must be precise. If a man moves an object that's capable of being stolen to the slightest degree with the intention, that's an offense. It's properly defined. Now, if you want to bring this into an electoral law, you say if a man buys nomination form in 2 local government areas, and you say, okay, where does the law say? Who buys forms? Is it not aspirants that buy form? He's talking about candidates, not aspirants.
Okay, now because what I'm thinking, we are looking at and Senator, is it Ahmad Lawan?
Yes, Ahmad Lawan
and Senator Godswill Akpabio,
yes,
who both contested for
the presidency
and
yes,
their party now.
You see, at that point, at that point of presidency, the constituencies are different.
No, that's not even what I'm talking about. Well, I'm imagining there are people who stood for, is it nomination, who stood election for the position of the Senate positions that they are now looking for after they had gone for the So what happened to somebody stood in the case of Akwa Ibom? Is it not? They say Udome, retired Udome Koro. He stood and he was elected.
Nominated.
He was nominated.
Yes.
Nomination is election now. There are many people that
nomination at that level. It's called nomination at that level.
Okay, he was nominated.
Yes.
Now, what is Senator Babio doing? Senator Babio is saying that I also stood, or why are we talking about INEC prosecuting based on this section?
You know what has happened with that interest, Senator Babio's interest, is that it's caused a confusion within the political parties, the political party itself, on whose name will be submitted. Now, INEC went as the law also went as far as saying there will be nomination observed by INEC officials.
Yes.
The split of the political party had INEC officials witness the nomination. One, INEC from Uyo office, the other, INEC from the federal office. The law did not go further to state if the INEC officials will be from the national office or from the state office.
Because I'm wondering when they signed the form they were busy, they stood for a nomination in presidential, for the presidential slot.
Okay.
And is the offense that they bought, because from the sound of it, they bought form for Senate and they bought for president.
Okay.
While they were contesting for president, somebody else was contesting for Senate.
Senate, yes.
And now they come back and they say, on what grounds are they saying that I should take over from the person that...
Or why did you allow me buy forms, stress myself to contest election, ask people to nomination, ask people to vote, and at the end of it, the result will be published and sent up, only for you to come around to say, well, there's a rerun. And now in the rerun, these persons are now part of the rerun. And now they are part of the rerun, they have won too.
Oh, the parties.
Yes.
It's like I was I'm a bit
taken aback
behind with the news, because what we were looking at is the news flying around that they have committed a crime according to the Electoral Act by buying forms for two different positions.
Yes.
Now, I didn't even. I wasn't even.
We were trying to avoid that their internal arguments.
Okay.
That's their internal party argument.
Okay. So we were just looking at whether this law that you do affects them.
Yes, because
the fact that they bought
if we want to go down to internal party
arguments and bought for Senate. Okay.
If you want to go down to how the internal party argument played out, one part of it says, I bought forms, contested election, I am stepping down for this person. So people were holding down offices for others.
Yes.
And is that the position of the law?
Okay.
That one could hold down an office for the other person when it wasn't your name that was on the list.
Wow. And
he just came in and said, I resign and these are my reasons. This person is now taking over. Why don't you go back and contest or conduct a proper primaries where this person that you were holding the office in lieu for will also be a participant? You know, can be tested. His popularity can be tested amongst his people. So that's just how that view is. But to avoid all the big arguments on were you there, were you not there, we limit ourselves to what's the provision of this law, and we use them as subject matters. You know, not directly saying that this is how it will pan out.
So that means that at this moment we're not sure if Senator Lawan and Senator Babio are liable by this section of the law.
Yeah, but you see,
because that law is not clear. You should have stated that you shouldn't buy two nomination forms.
Yes, you know, INEC originally was of the school of thought that they ought not to have bought two nominations. In fact, rejected their names when the party sent.
Yes.
Especially based on this provision.
Yes.
But subsequently, we've noticed INEC backtracking
That's it.
and beginning to also want a further interpretation of
Yeah.
that law. They are not certain. And I'm sure there's been a legal opinion or some legal opinion on that provision.
No, I think I've heard you lawyers say sometime before that someone can just go to court and say, court, interpret this law. I believe I've heard you say something like, correct me if I'm...
Yeah, but you see, at that point too, you would need to be, probably you have been a candidate, or INEC could equally do that, seek interpretation of the court to be guided properly. That interpretation also is subject to appeal,
No, I don't understand here. INEC is saying that this position is not really what we had to understand this law to mean, because people were calling, in fact, in the news, someone was calling for INEC to prosecute this too, that because of that provision of that law, they have broken that provision of that law and are liable. So, and he also said that INEC is trying to go back on its position. And I'm asking, if we are looking for interpretation, must we wait for who amongst the parties should go as asking for interpretation? So a lawyer cannot just go up and say, this section of the law is not clear. Court, explain it and let everybody understand
what is called locus, locus to sue. The status of anybody suing. Do you have the right to sue?
Okay, so asking a court to interpret law is also suing.
Yes. You don't have locus to bring the application. Why are you bothered? Are you a contestant in the election?
Okay.
And was your election affected by that provision?
Okay.
This is a way of curbing unnecessary litigation.
All right.
If not, you have 40 cases on that same issue in every court in Nigeria. Anyone that can afford litigation will just go by.
So that means that in this situation, it's left for maybe somebody like the people that are seeking to replace to go to court and say, are these people not liable?
Exactly.
All right.
So the court would now take a position based on the argument of parties.
And it can only go to court when INEC prosecutes. Is INEC the only person that can prosecute?
No, not necessarily. That's a different. The prosecution by INEC is on a criminal perspective.
Okay. Well, if let's say DG, is it DIG now goes, it was in the other direction and it came up and
then he can go. He can raise that as his only grounds that you were not qualified by virtue of section 115 sub D, sub 1 sub D.
Okay.
That you were not qualified to even stand the election. I ought to have been the name sent to INEC.
Okay. All right.
So that's about the position. So that's the position of the law as it. When INEC can bring that application, because INEC doesn't have the right to disqualify any candidates ordinarily.
Okay.
Disqualification should be by the court.
Hello, is that legally speaking?
Yeah, this is legally speaking.
Okay, please. I am Nicholas calling from Calabar.
Okay, sir.
My own is a sort of contribution.
All right, sir.
Towards the zoning process, which they are agitating that PDP should have zoned. The present government came into power. That is Buhari. It was the southern governor. It was the southern candidate that was the president of the country.
Okay.
And that was arrangement by the PDP. And that people agitating that PDP should. I see it as unnecessary because it is not the PDP that is in power. If it is PDP or Jonathan has not been in election and the roll up to 2019, he should have been declared and said it is uncalled for, it is a cheat on the PDP side. So Atiku clinching the presidential ticket for PDP. I think there's nothing wrong with it. So people should stop at the unnecessary agitation because it is not PDP that is in power. That is the way I have seen it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think that's the only caller we've had for the day, and we'll limit it to that. All right, you see, his position is about what we're saying, though he still maintains that rotational format is in order. We don't have provision that allows anybody to contest election.
Right.
Anybody. You cannot compel a person that had won an election like you now to resign because some other person from his locality has won to aspire to be the president.
That's right.
That's not the right position. That's not legal. He has no business with Atiku's ambition.
Yeah.
Atiku is where we've come full circle on legally speaking today. It's unfortunate. I really wish to apologize that the calls were coming through. It would have been quite an interesting conversation with the calls coming through. And we also appreciate the last caller who called in. I have been with Hannah Essien. Hannah, thank you for being my wingman for today. My name is Anthony Ebuka. I'm a legal practitioner with Law Partners and Associates. And I believe you'll join us again same time next week.
Which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police power with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
You're invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is living there. If not, my lord, these cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of